Living age 52 186. That June 30th, 1841, fishes, one of which was 10 inches long, fell at Boston. That 8 days later, fishes and ice fell at Derby. In Timbs' Yearbook, 1842 275, it is said that at Derby the fishes had fallen in enormous numbers, from half an inch to 2 inches long, and some considerably larger. In the Athenaeum, 1841 542, copied from the Sheffield Patriot, it is said that one of the fishes weighed 3 ounces. In several accounts it is said that with the fishes fell many small frogs and pieces of half-melted ice. We are told that the frogs and the fishes had been raised from some other part of the earth's surface in a whirlwind. No whirlwind specified, nothing said as to what part of the earth's surface comes ice in the month of July. Interests us that the ice is described as half melted. In the London Times, July 15th, 1841, it is said that the fishes were sticklebacks, that they had fallen with ice and small frogs, many of which had survived the fall. We note that at Dunfermline, 3 months later, October 7th, 1841, fell many fishes, several inches in length, in a thunderstorm. London Times, October 12th, 1841. Hailstones we don't care so much about. The matter of stratification seems significant, but we think more of the fall of lumps of ice from the sky as possible data of the Super Sargasso Sea. Lumps of ice a foot in circumference, Derbyshire, England, May 12, 1811. Annual Register, 1811-54. Cuboidal mass, 6 inches in diameter, that fell at Birmingham 26 days later. Thomson, Intro to Meteorology, page 179. Size of pumpkins, Bangalore, India, May 22nd, 1851. Report British Association, 1855-35. Masses of ice of 1.5 pounds each. New Hampshire, August 13th, 1851. Lummus, Meteorology, page 129. Masses of ice size of a man's head in the Delphos tornado. Farrell, Popular Treatise, page 428. Large as a man's hand, killing thousands of sheep. Texas, May 3rd, 1877. Monthly Weather Review, May 1877. Pieces of ice so large that they could not be grasped in one hand. In a tornado, in Colorado, June 24th, 1877. Monthly Weather Review, June 1877. Lumps of ice 4.5 inches long. Richmond, England, August 2nd, 1879. Simon's Meteorological Magazine, 14-100. Mass of ice 21 inches in circumference that fell with hail, Iowa, June 1881. Monthly Weather Review, June 1881. Pieces of ice 8 inches long and 1.5 inches thick, Davenport, Iowa, August 30th, 1882. Monthly Weather Review, August 1882. Lump of ice size of a brick, weight 2 pounds, Chicago, July 12th, 1883. Monthly Weather Review, July 1883. Lumps of ice that weighed 1.5 pounds each, India, May 1888. Nature, 37 through 42. Lump of ice weighing 4 pounds, Texas, December 6, 1893. Scientific American, 6858. Lumps of ice 1 pound in weight, November 14, 1901. In a tornado, Victoria, Meteorology of Australia, page 34. Of course, it is our acceptance that these masses not only accompanied tornadoes, but were brought down to this earth by tornadoes. Flammarion, The Atmosphere, page 34. Block of ice weighing 4.5 pounds that fell at Cazorta, Spain, June 15, 1829. Block of ice weighing 11 pounds at Sète, France, October 1844. Mass of ice 3 feet long, 3 feet wide, and more than 2 feet thick that fell in a storm in Hungary, May 8, 1802. Scientific American, 47, 119. That, according to the Salina Journal, a mass of ice weighing about 80 pounds had fallen from the sky near Salina, Kansas, August 1882. We are told that Mr. W.J. Hagler, the North Santa Fe merchant, became possessor of it and packed it in sawdust in his store. London Times, April 7, 1860. That upon the 16th of March, 1860, in a snowstorm in Upper Wasdale, blocks of ice so large that at a distance they looked like a flock of sheep had fallen. Report of the British Association, 1851, 32. That a mass of ice about a cubic yard in size had fallen at Khandish, India, 1828. Against these data, though, so far as I know, so many of them have never been assembled together before, there is a silence upon the part of scientific men that is unusual. Our Super Sargasso Sea may not be an unavoidable conclusion, but arrival upon this earth of ice from external regions does seem to be, except that there must be it ever so faint, a merger. It is in the notion that these masses of ice are only congealed hailstones. We have data against this notion as applied to all our instances, but the explanation has been offered, and it seems to me may apply in some instances. In the Bulletin Société Astronomique de France, 2245, it is said of blocks of ice the size of decanters that had fallen at Tunis that they were only masses of congealed hailstones. London Times, August 4th, 1857. That a block of ice described as pure ice, weighing 25 pounds, had been found in the meadow of Mr. Warner of Cricklewood. There had been a storm the day before. As in some of our other instances, no one had seen this object fall from the sky. It was found after the storm. That's all that can be said about it. Letter from Captain Blackiston, communicated by General Sabine to the Royal Society. London, Royal Society Proceedings, 10/468. That, January 14, 1860, in a thunderstorm, pieces of ice had fallen upon Captain Blackiston's vessel. That it was not hail. It was not hail, but irregular shaped pieces of solid ice of different dimensions up to the size of half a brick. According to the Advertiser Scotsman, quoted by the Edinburgh New Philosophical Magazine, 47/371, an irregular shaped mass of ice fell at Ord, Scotland, August 1849, after an extraordinary peal of thunder. It is said that this was homogeneous ice, except in a small part which looked like congealed hailstones. The mass was about 20 feet in circumference. The story, as told in the London Times, August 14, 1849, is that upon the evening of the 13th of August, 1849, after a loud peal of thunder, a mass of ice said to have been 20 feet in circumference had fallen upon the estate of Mr. Moffat of Balvullich, Rossshire. It is said that this object fell alone or without hailstones. Altogether, though, it is not so strong for the Super Sargasso Sea, I think. This is one of our best expressions upon external origins. That large blocks of ice could form in the moisture of this Earth's atmosphere is about as likely as that blocks of stone could form in a dust whirl. Of course, if ice or water comes to this Earth from external sources, we think of at least minute organisms in it, and on, with our data, to frogs, fishes, on to anything that's thinkable, coming from external sources. It's of great importance to us to accept that large lumps of ice have fallen from the sky, but what we desire most, perhaps because of our interest in its archaeologic and paleontologic treasures, is now to be through with tentativeness and probation, and to take the Super Sargasso Sea into full acceptance in our more advanced fold of the chosen of this 20th century. In the report of the British Association, 1855-37, it is said that at Purundur, India, December 11, 1854, flat pieces of ice, many of them weighing several pounds each, I suppose, had fallen from the sky. They are described as large ice flakes. Vast fields of ice in the superarctic regions, or strata of the Super Sargasso Sea. When they break up, their fragments are flake-like. In our acceptance, there are aerial ice fields that are remote from this Earth, that break up, fragments grinding against one another, rolling in vapor and water of different constituency in different regions, forming slowly as stratified hailstones, but that there are ice fields near this Earth that break up into just such flat pieces of ice as cover any pond or river when ice of a pond or river is broken, and are sometimes soon precipitated to the Earth in this familiar flat formation. Simon's Meteorological Magazine, 43, 154. A correspondent writes that at Braemar, July 2, 1908, when the sky was clear overhead and the sun shining, flat pieces of ice fell from somewhere. The sun was shining, but something was going on somewhere. Thunder was heard. Until I saw the reproduction of a photograph in the Scientific American, February 21, 1914, I had supposed that these ice fields must be, say, at least 10 or 20 miles away from this Earth, and invisible to terrestrial observers, except as the blurs that have so often been reported by astronomers and meteorologists. The photograph published by the Scientific American is of an aggregation supposed to be clouds, presumably not very high. So clearly detailed are they. The writer says that they looked to him like a field of broken ice. Beneath is a picture of a conventional field of ice, floating ordinarily in water. The resemblance between the two pictures is striking. Nevertheless, it seems to me incredible that the first of the photographs could be of an aerial ice field, or that gravitation could cease to act at only a mile or so from this Earth's surface. Unless the exceptional, the flux and vagary of all things. or that normally this Earth's gravitation extends, say 10 or 15 miles outward, but that gravitation must be rhythmic.